I'm Liz from Daisy Chain Patterns, and this is the Dale Sweatshirt expansion series. Today we're going to be working on the pull-over hoodie with a kangaroo pocket. We've got a fully lined hood. The sleeves and hem are finished with rib knit. To sew the pull-on hoodie, we're going to start with our pattern pieces from the expansion. You'll need the bodice front with the kangaroo pocket markings, the kangaroo pocket, and the hood. And from the original Dale Sweatshirt pattern, you're gonna need your back bodice, your sleeves with the length of your choice and their corresponding cuff, and your hemband. We're gonna start with our full kangaroo pocket. We're gonna start by applying twill tape to the outer edges, and then we will attach it to our hoodie front. You're gonna start by cutting a length of twill tape that goes along this curved edge of the kangaroo pocket. It's okay if your piece is a little long, we can trim that away later. And then you're going to pin it in place with an 1/8 inch overhang over the edge of the fabric. I'm using a 1/2 inch twill tape and our seam allowance is 3/8, which is why we have the overhang. If you're using a 3/8 inch twill tape, just align it with the edge of the fabric. We're going to edge stitch the inner edge of our twill tape along each side using a straight stitch. And repeat that with the second side. You'll trim off your excess twill tape if you have any, and using the twill tape as a guide, you're going to press that edge to the wrong side of the fabric. Now we're going to stitch the other edge of the twill tape in place along each side. And before we attach this to our bodice, we're going to turn these short edges of your kangaroo pocket 3/8 inch to the wrong side. Now we're going to transfer our pocket placement markings from the pattern piece. We have our top line for aligning and our side line for aligning. Now, along that top pocket marking, we're going to align the top edge of our pocket, right sides together, and the pocket is upside down. You're going to sew along that top edge of the pocket using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. press the pocket down towards the bottom of the fabric, towards the hem. To finish the pocket, we're going to top stitch along the top edge and both side seams. First we'll edge stitch, and then we'll also add a secondary line of stitching 3/8 of an inch in from that. And now we'll run a basting stitch along the bottom edge of the pocket just to keep it in place. Before we move on to the hood, we're going to sew the shoulder seams of the front bodice to the back bodice using a stretch stitch. And press your seam allowance to the back. For the hood, you want to start by transferring all the markings. We're going to transfer the buttonhole placement markings on one side. And you want to make sure to transfer the mark here for where to end your curve. I've poked it with an awl, but mark it here just to show it a little clearer. Then you're going to apply interfacing over your buttonhole markings. Next, we're going to sew our buttonholes. Now we're going to fold our hood in half with right sides together, and we're going to sew the back curve starting at the center back seam and tapering to nothing at the fold at that mark. Now we're going to turn right sides out and press and nest the back seams in opposite directions. Now I'm aligning the neckline seam of the 2 layers of the hood, and we're going to baste along this line to keep everything in place. Now I'm going to press the center front fold of the hood opening before I sew my channel for my drawstring. Now we're going to sew a channel for our drawstring, starting at one neckline and we'll end at the other. Next, we're going to insert our drawstring. You can use a pre-made cording, a flat cording or round cording, braided cording, decorative ribbon, pre-made straps, bias tape, or you can make your own drawstring out of your fabric. Next, pin your drawstring out of the way so it doesn't get connected when we connect the hood to the neckline. And before we connect our hood to the bodice, we're going to baste the center fronts together just to keep everything aligned in place. Now we're going to attach the hood to the neckline. I've marked my center front and center backs with pins here, and we're going to attach these right sides together. You're going to align the notches with the shoulder seams, the back seam of the hood to the center back, and the front to the front of the bodice. I'm going to use an overlocker to attach my hood. If you're nervous about this step, you can always use a basting stitch first to make sure everything is aligned properly, and then you'll attach it with your preferred stretch stitch. Then you can remove any basting stitches that might be showing from basting your neckline, and we'll finish up the rest of the body. To finish off your hoodie of the Dale Sweatshirt, we're going to refer to the original Dale pattern, and we're going to start by attaching the sleeves. The rest of this process will be sewn with your preferred stretch stitch. I'll be sewing on an overlocker, but you use the stitch that you like. So using the notches on the sleeve pattern, we're going to align the back to the back, front to the front, and the center notch to the shoulder seam. And we'll sew along that edge, and then you'll repeat for the second side. Next, we're going to sew the underarm seam. You're going to fold the sleeve in half, right sides together, and continue that down your side seam, matching the underarm and the bottom of the sweatshirt front and back. I like to nest my seams at the underarm, putting one seam allowance in each direction, but you can certainly put them both going in the same direction if you prefer. And then we're going to stitch along that line. You're going to turn your sweatshirt right side out, and we're going to finish off our hems and cuff with ribbing. If you were making the original Dale sweatshirt, you'd also be finishing off your neckline with ribbing as well. So for our cuffs, we're going to put right sides together. You should have 2 cuff pieces, and along the shorter edge here, we're going to stitch across there with our straight stitch to create 2 cuffs. And for our hemband, waistband, we're going to have 2 pieces here. I'm going to put them right sides together and stitch either side to create 1 loop. Now we're going to press our cuffs and hemband. We're going to turn them right side out and fold them in half. So we're flipping this little tube through, aligning the seams you just created. While you're pressing, you can also start your quartering process. So to attach our ribbing, we want to distribute it equally amongst the flat seam that's here. So it's going to be stretched as we attach it. And to make sure that we're distributing everything equally, we want to quarter these. So I'm going to use my seam as 1 point. And I've just sort of ironed in the halfway point there. Place a pin. And then you can use those markings to determine the quarter point. So I'm stacking those pins to find the quarter point between. And your cuff pieces are fairly small, so if you want to just find the halfway points, that's generally enough to go with, but on the waistband and the neckline, you definitely want to quarter it. Here for our waistband piece, we know the side seams here are going to be a halfway point. So we're just going to stack those to find the quarter. Now that we've quartered our ribbing pieces, we're going to also quarter the areas that they're getting attached to. So for our sweatshirt body, the side seams are going to be our halfway points, and then center front and center back will be our quarters. So if you didn't mark those before, that's not a big deal. Just line up your side seams and place a pin at the halfway point. Next, you're gonna match right sides together. You're gonna match up your quarter points. So it's gonna go around in a big loop. I'm just gonna stack this on top and replace my pin through all 3 layers. The rib is gonna be shorter than the sweatshirt body. That's what you want. We're gonna stretch it as we go to fit. So I'm gonna bring this over to the serger. I'm gonna start at probably my center back. You can start at a side seam, and we're just going to stretch our ribbing to fit. And you just need to focus on each quarter at a time. So don't worry about the rest of the hoodie, just focusing here. If you're using your regular home sewing machine, depending on the thickness of your fabric, it might be helpful to use a walking foot at this step. Then you'll press that seam allowance towards the body of your sweatshirt. And if you'd like, you can top stitch that seam in place using a twin needle, a cover stitch machine, or a stretch stitch of your choice. Now to attach your cuffs, you're going to align the seam on your cuff with the underarm seam of the sleeve. And again, we're just going to distribute this evenly. So then again, we're gonna press that seam allowance up towards the body, and optionally, if you'd like, you can top stitch around this edge with a stretch stitch, a twin needle, or a cover stitch machine. And that's it, your hoodie is done. Your Dale Sweatshirt hoodie is done.